Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to part 5 of the video. Reviewing my last videos here, as you can see, change of scenery. So I've had a chance to review what I've put out so far. There's one thing that I've missed in step number 4. I talked about it, but the possibility that, so you can see here on this cube, that the white faces, or the top layer is done, middle layer is done, and now what's happened is when we go to do the bottom layer, that two of the corners, two opposite corners, are the ones that are correct. So if we look at this cube, you can see that the blue-red, as well as its opposite corner, which is the green-orange, are correct. Okay, so the previous instruction that I gave you guys was to, if two of the adjacent corners were correct, how do we do that? So this is what we do if we run into this situation. So once again, sticking with our theme of providing the least amount of sequences to remember, but we might just have to repeat them a number of times, what we can do in this case is, so just like before, how we had the two adjacent ones as to which defined what was our front face, it's the same thing here. So we have one correctly positioned bottom corner and a second, and they're opposite. So what happens is we want to discover which one of the pieces is in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, now in this case it's actually, so whatever piece is in the bottom right hand corner, if we tip the cube down, this would be our front face. So in this case we could use orange. But we can also, though, if this cube was orientated this way, this corner is correct, down here, sorry, this corner is correct, so the red face. So actually in this case there's two possibilities where we can either have the red or the orange in this example as the face to use for our sequencing. Now the sequence that we apply is the same 3x3 sequence, with the 10th move being the double move on the bottom. It's the same thing. Now the only difference is that this sequence is not going to directly position the 4. What it's going to do is it's going to take the opposite adjacent corners and it's going to convert it into the case where we have two adjacent corners, which we can then solve one more time to get all 4 of the bottom layer corners positioned correctly. Okay, so once again we have correctly positioned corner opposite. So in this case I'm just going to use orange, and then we do our 3x3 sequence, which is right counterclockwise, bottom counterclockwise, right clockwise, front clockwise, bottom clockwise, front counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, bottom clockwise, right clockwise, and then bottom double. And what you'll see now is that if I've done this correctly, which actually I don't think it's bottom double in this case, but it doesn't matter. Again, the important part is that the bottom corners are now they'll be in a position from the adjacent. Now there will be a solution or a pattern to find that has two adjacent corners that are what we're after. Okay, so if I rotate this once, okay, so we have green, green, red, and here it is. So in this case, so from opposite corners we now have adjacent corners, which is the red, green in this case, and the green, orange. Okay, so now these are the adjacent. Now this is a case where we only have one correct face, which is the opposite face from this one. So here's our 2. Okay, so the opposite face from this one, which in this case is going to be blue, is our front face for our cube. And then we do the same sequence again. So right counterclockwise, bottom counterclockwise, right clockwise, front clockwise, bottom clockwise, front counterclockwise, right counterclockwise, bottom clockwise, right clockwise, and then double. And we should now see that we have all 4 corners now positioned correctly. Okay, they're not orientated, but they are positioned correctly. Okay, so that's where we left off. So now you know that the 2 possible case scenarios, the third being that all 4 of them were correct, okay, which was the luck that I had upon me in video number 4, okay, before I forced it to go to the 2 adjacent. Okay, so that's where we left off. So now the new part of this video for video number 5 is going to be the orientation of our bottom corners. Okay. Now in this case we're looking for another pattern to recognize on the bottom. Okay, so just like how we were looking for the pattern, which was finding the adjacent corners, now we're looking for a pattern on the bottom. Now, we're not actually concerned with the edge pieces at all on the bottom, we're only concerned with the corner pieces. Okay, and realistically, which corner pieces are yellow? Now in this case, none of them are yellow. Okay, so this is what I call the free case. So yes, the middle one's yellow, it's always going to be yellow, but none of the other corners, pardon me, are yellow. So what we can do in this face, there is a desired face, but it's one more thing that you have to remember. So the easiest thing to do is to remember that if there's none of the corners are yellow, you can just pick any face as the front face. So I'm just going to pick green, okay, in this case, and we're going to apply our new sequence, which is 2 4-move sequences for a total of an 8-move sequence. All it is it's the right and bottom faces, so right face, bottom face, that are being utilized here. And once again, it's very very sequential in that we go right bottom, right bottom, right bottom, right bottom. It's just obviously which way do we move them, how many times, things like that. Okay, so the first sequence is simply, so we've picked our green face. Now again, single, middle, pick any face, we just happen to pick green. So we're going to take our right face and we're going to go counterclockwise. Then it's bottom, counterclockwise, and then it's right, back up, or clockwise. Okay, now this is where from your memory might, or your intuition might tell you, okay, well, the patterns seem to be that I should take my bottom and go clockwise now because I went counterclockwise the first time. This is one of the patterns where you have to go against your intuition, in that the bottom, the fourth move in this, okay, is also the bottom counterclockwise. Okay, so once again, just let me maybe reset this. Okay, so the first 4-move sequence is simply right, counterclockwise, bottom, counterclockwise, right, clockwise, bottom, counterclockwise. Okay, the whole idea is that we've now taken this piece and we've now hit it in this back corner. Okay, that's ultimately what we wanted to do. Okay, so that's the first 4 sequences. The next 4 sequences are again right, bottom, and it's basically are very similar. So we're going to go right back down. Okay, now the bottom, what it is we want to put that hidden white piece back, so we have to do a double move. So it's right, counterclockwise, bottom, double. Okay, right, clockwise. Okay, and bottom, double again. Now what we should see by this is that the bottom corners are still positioned correctly. Okay, red, green, red, blue, blue, orange, and orange, green with respect to their correct faces, and that is correct. Okay, but we haven't, so they're positioned correctly but still not orientated. So now we look for another pattern. Now again, remember the first one is if none of the corners are positioned correctly, then it is pick any face. Now in this case you can see, hopefully the camera picks it up okay, but we have yellow, yellow. Now I didn't mention this in any of the videos, but I'm colorblind. I wanted to say that that's yellow, but looking closer it's actually orange, and the yellow side is here. Okay, so the only 2 yellows that we have are the middle one again, which is always going to be there, but we now have this one corner. Okay, and this is one of the main patterns that we're looking for, which is the middle and a corner, a single corner. Now in this case what we wanted, so we obviously have 4 options. It can be in the upper right, bottom left, or upper left. We want it to be in the upper left, okay, which that means then if we flop this down again, that this is going to be our front face. So in this case it's going to be blue. Okay, so now that's, again, we look at the pattern to decide which is our front face, and we apply that same sequence that we just talked about, the 2 4-move sequences, which is right counterclockwise, bottom counterclockwise, right clockwise, bottom counterclockwise. Okay, right counterclockwise, bottom double, right clockwise, bottom double. And what we'll see now is, what we've been able to do, is we've now been able to correctly orientate, okay, the already positioned corners. So they're now all correct. So the only thing that's off now in this cube is the bottom layer's edges. Okay. Now, real quick here, I wanted to just show you guys, maybe not show you, but the only other patterns, pardon me, that I would look for in this case. So we have the first pattern we came across was the middle by itself, and none of the corners were yellow. Okay, then the second one we came across was the generally desired one, which is just one corner is yellow, and we want to position that in the upper left. The other possibilities are that you have two adjacent corners. Okay, so it could be yellow, yellow obviously, and yellow. In that case, what face you should use is the face that's opposite. So similar to when we had two of the corners positioned correctly, okay, we used the opposite face. So if that was my pattern, those are the only yellow, then I would generally pick this as my face and perform my pattern. Okay, the other possibility would be that you have opposite corners. So say this one was yellow and this one was yellow, so those weren't. Okay, so if this is the case, you'd want your diagonal going to the upper right, okay, as opposed to the upper left. Now, are you going to, destroy your cube and have to start over? No, you won't. It's just you might have to do these patterns over and over and over again until you finally get to what we have here. So generally speaking, it's the most common one that I come across using this sequence anyways is that when you have the single upper left corner, okay, just these two as being yellows, and you perform that sequence on this as the front face, okay, you'll generally get to this position quicker, where we've now correctly positioned as well as orientated our bottom four corners. So the only thing that's left again is the edges. And stay tuned to the next video for that.